Thank you, and thank you for coming. So Klein's Ice Cream House is the only thing open out on Ocean Parkway tonight. I can see its neon sign from a fair way off. We've driven through to the other side of Brooklyn for this, out towards Rockaway, and I know it's going to be worth it, just as long as we get there before it closes. And there's four of us crammed into Alex's shitty little car, me and Vinny in the back seat, and Julia riding shotgun. And the sign is shining, it's like pink and white and blue, and it's coming up fast on the right. So we pull into this side street and park. This is it. I spent the last 2 weeks staying on this couch in this punk house out in Bushwick, New York. And the place is called 538 Johnson Street, and it's pretty well known for holding punk and hardcore shows. And everyone who lives there is an artist. Like Alex is a photographer, Julia is a sculptor, and Vinny is a painter. And there's other people who live there too, and they're all just constantly creating in this little bubble of atheist, anti-establishment, free thought. And they're all super knowledgeable about anarcho-feminist theory, animal rights, the ethics of dumpster diving, and they all have this healthy distrust of police officers and firemen that they press onto me. And they know all of the best vegan spots, obviously. So vegan soft serve has been a big talking point since I arrived. It's like, yo, we gotta take you to Klein's before you leave. I got hooked up with these people through another ex-anarchist friend who lives in Amsterdam. And the punk and hardcore scene is kind of amazing like that in the way it creates this worldwide network. And these people who didn't know me, they just welcomed me into their home based on the fact that I was interested in the same type of music and that I was in the same subculture as them. And based on the word of another guy who lived a whole ocean away. And their living space is like this converted factory floor that they kind of built their own rooms into. So even down to literally the way they sleep, it's all very DIY. And one night while I was staying there, a venue must have cancelled a show or something. So all the bands just came over to 538 to play. And I remember one of the bands was called Aneurysm Rats. And I remember that because they had the drummer from Kid Dynamite or something. But they just set up right next to the kitchen area, like next to the sink, and they just thrashed out this set. And now it's my last night there, so, you know, they gotta take me to Klein's before I leave. There's this like very specific brand of fetishization that happens in veganism, where it's like we're always looking for placeholders for more traditional meals. And people always ask me, they're like, oh, don't you miss the taste of butter or cheese or bacon or fucking etc. And taste has very little to do with it. And I think what I miss is more so the memories that are associated with certain types of food. And often it's quite simple foods, like from my childhood and stuff. And it's this mix of nostalgia and novelty, which just makes my mouth water. So when these guys said vegan soft serve, what I thought of was Noosa Beach on holidays with my family and the ice cream truck in the parking lot there. And getting handed this tiny swirling mountain that had been dipped in chocolate, which had now hardened, and I'm there under the sun with the waves behind me, and I bite through that chocolate shell and it cracks, and that cold, melty vanilla oozes through onto my tongue. So Klein's isn't on a beach. It's very much still in the city. It's on the way to a beach. And there's no sun, it's nighttime, it's very desolate, it's just concrete and bitumen, there's no one else around, it's very quiet. But at the very least, it's still really hot inside the urban bubble of New York. And you know what else? Like, Klein's ice cream house isn't even a vegan ice creamery. It's run by Hasidic Jews, and they sell kosher ice cream. And us punks are just lucky. So there's the four of us. We're sweaty and we're greasy in our denim and our fucking iron-on patches and our shirts that are just riddled with stains and holes. And we go through the door and the bell rings, and inside it's just pink. It's pastel pink, floor to ceiling. And I'd seen the Hasids around Brooklyn, like hurrying down Bedford Avenue with a serious look on their face, like wearing their heavy woolen coats and their woolen hats, despite the fact that the sun is just bludgeoning them from above. And they're these, to me at least, these very dark and somber figures who lived in this world that was completely impenetrable from where I stood. And now inside this pink ice cream parlor, I'm face to face with two of them. And I think they're father and son. And they're still wearing their woolen coats, despite the fact that this place has no aircon. And they're just black against the pink wall. And they just stare at us. They don't ask us what we want, we have to tell them. And I get the chocolate vanilla swirl. And I say that they're staring at us, but really they're just staring at Julia. And it's fucking weird. So I take my chocolate vanilla swirl and I go back outside. And when the others come out, Vinny tells me in this very deadpan, unsympathetic tone that Hasidic Jewish men view Hasidic Jewish women as being human, although they are second-class citizens. And he tells me that Hasidic Jewish men view women from other Jewish sects as humanoid, but not to the extent that they would ever talk to them. So when Julia came in a cut-off shorts and a singlet, her home job tattoos, her ears and her septum pierced, her hair just long and free. To these men, it was, she might as well have been a dog wandering in off the street. And I look at Julia, and I'm expecting some kind of rebuff, some kind of indignant comment or a joke at least about this inherent stupidity. And she's there, street side, and she's like got her ice cream cone, and she's sort of, trying to catch the melting ice cream in her mouth. And she looks at me and she just kind of shrugs and smiles like, well, they're happy enough to take my $4. And the ice cream is rich, and it's creamy, and it's cold. And I look around at the night scene, and like there's signs to Coney Island, and there's this subway station off in the distance. And I'm here with these three amazing people who, like 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know they existed. And I'm really happy. Like I'm just happy to take it all. Like the good and the not so good. As a brand new memory associated with this ice cream cone that I'm eating, instead of trying to use it to invoke an old memory. Thank you very much.